Okay, so today we're diving deep into the creative process
All right.
of CARLIGHTS.
Yeah.
The musical project of Tushar Kansal.
Really interesting guy.
Super interesting, and I've always been fascinated by how he creates that sort of signature 80s sound. But it's like more than just synths and drum machines, right? It's like this whole deep kind of emotional vibe woven in there.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to like unpack that a little
Yeah, it's fascinating how he does it because he like taps into this 80s nostalgia, but it doesn't feel like a cheap imitation.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He blends the retro elements with these really personal touches, and that's what makes it fresh.
Okay, so let's break down the 80s influence a little bit more.
Sure.
Obviously, we've got the synths, like front and center.
The synths are huge.
Like, what else defines that CARLIGHTS soundscape?
So think dreamy soundscapes.
Okay.
Big cinematic vibes, almost like a soundtrack to a John Hughes film.
Okay.
But instead of a saxophone solo, you get these layers of synth textures.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's that feeling of driving through neon-lit streets at night.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a little rain.
I love that.
But there's this sense of optimism, too.
Okay, so it's like melancholic but hopeful.
Exactly. Melancholic but hopeful.
Interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier about Kansal weaving in like personal touches.
Yeah.
He said his hometown plays a role.
Yeah, his hometown, Ghaziabad in India.
Okay.
Absolutely.
How does that come through?
He draws inspiration from his memories and experiences of growing up in Ghaziabad.
Okay.
So he'll subtly incorporate these like urban vibes, landmarks, even specific childhood experiences into his music.
Wow.
Because like he's creating the sonic map of his personal history.
That's so cool, using the familiar to create something totally new.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how your own hometown could like inspire art, right?
Absolutely.
Like what would that sound like if I were to do that?
Right. What are those sounds?
Yeah.
Those smells, the feelings.
Yeah, totally. But it's not just about place, right? It's about emotion too.
Yes.
Each CARLIGHTS track feels like it's telling a story.
It does.
It's like a mini Sonic movie.
You hit the nail on the head.
Oh, thanks.
Kansal is a master of using sound to evoke emotions and paint these vivid scenes.
Okay.
It's not just slapping a bunch of 80s sounds together.
Right.
There's real thought behind it.
So how does he do that? Like, give me an example.
Okay, so for example, he might use a specific type of synth,
Okay.
like a Juno 106, which is known for its warm, nostalgic pads to create a feeling of longing or yearning.
Okay.
Or he'll craft a driving drum beat using a classic Roland TR 808 to get your heart racing.
Yeah.
You know, simulating that feeling of anticipation or excitement.
I can see how, like, different sounds evoke.
Exactly.
Different feelings.
Different feelings. Okay.
Different energy.
I'm really intrigued by this idea of sonic storytelling.
Can you give us an example of how Kansal uses sound to create, like, a specific scene?
Sure. So imagine a track that starts with a slow, melancholic melody played on a detuned synth.
Okay.
Maybe with a bit of chorus effect for that hazy, dreamlike feel that could represent reflection or introspection.
Yeah.
Then gradually a pulsing bass line kicks in,
Okay.
accompanied by a driving beat on the TR 808,
Right.
signifying a shift in mood,
Yeah.
perhaps a surge of determination or hope.
Okay.
As the track progresses, layers of arpeggiated synths and shimmering pads are added,
Wow.
creating a sense of growing energy and optimism.
Okay.
Like maybe the feeling of driving towards a city skyline at night.
I can practically see the scene unfolding in my head.
Right.
Like I'm there.
Yeah.
Speaking of creating, I'm curious about the tools Kansal uses to bring these sounds to life.
Yeah.
Like, what's in his sonic toolbox?
So he loves that classic analog warmth.
Oh, yeah.
So synths like the Roland Juno 106 or the Korg M1 are staples. But he also utilizes digital synths and software instruments to create more complex textures.
Okay.
And of course, he uses a DAW,
What's that?
which stands for Digital Audio Workstation.
Okay.
Essentially a software studio where he arranges and layers all those sounds.
So it's like the central hub
It's the hub.
for all of the creation.
It's like a digital canvas for music.
Okay.
And he uses it to sculpt the sounds, add effects like reverb and delay, and build the track from the ground up.
It's like a chef
Yeah.
combining those fresh local ingredients
Right.
with some exotic spices.
Absolutely.
But how does a track actually come together? Like, where does he start?
It usually begins with a spark of inspiration. Okay. Maybe it's a visual, like a neon lit street, or a particular story, or even just a mood he wants to convey. From there, he starts sketching out melodies and harmonies, experimenting with different synth sounds to find the right emotional tone. Then he lays down a rhythm track, often using those classic drum machine patterns.
Yeah.
But he's not afraid to experiment with tempos and variations.
Okay.
He's very meticulous about sound design, carefully selecting each synth patch and effect to achieve the desired atmosphere.
So it's not just about, like, slapping a bunch of 80s sounds together.
No.
There's a real intentionality
There's a plan.
and craft behind it.
Absolutely.
I like that. What about the visuals?
Oh, yeah.
Does Cancel incorporate that 80s aesthetic into the visual side of CARLIGHTS?
Absolutely. He extends that retro vibe to his album art and music videos.
Okay.
He sometimes collaborates with visual artists,
Cool.
but he's also known to create AI-generated visuals.
Interesting.
Think neon lights, retro-futuristic cityscapes,
Yeah.
vintage cars,
I love it.
VHS-style effects.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. It's like when you watch a film and the score elevates the visuals.
Absolutely.
Creates a whole new level of emotional impact.
Powerful.
Yeah, it seems like every detail matters in the CARLIGHTS universe.
It does.
But before releasing a track,
Yes.
Console takes a step that I think is crucial for any creative process. He seeks feedback.
Right? Exactly. He's a firm believer in getting a fresh perspective, so he listens to his tracks on various systems.
Okay.
From high-end studio monitors
Wow.
to car stereos
Makes sense.
to cheap earbuds
Got to cover all the bases.
to make sure it translates well across different listening environments.
Right.
And critically, he shares his work with trusted collaborators for feedback,
Okay.
using their input to refine the track and make it the best it can be.
That's such an important point. Whether you're a musician,
Yeah,
writer, a designer, feedback is essential.
it is.
It helps us see our blind spots
Blind spots.
and elevate our work.
For sure.
So the music is polished,
Yes.
the visuals are set. What happens next?
Time to share it with the world.
Right.
Console releases his music on platforms like Bandcamp and streaming services. Often he'll include a short story or visual accompaniment with the release,
Oh, cool.
adding another layer to the overall experience.
So it's a multi-sensory experience.
It is.
More than just music.
More than just music.
It's a world you can step into,
Yeah,
a feeling you can inhabit.
precisely. Console's goal with CARLIGHTS is to transport listeners,
Yeah.
to trigger those nostalgic feelings, and ultimately to make them feel something deeply.
I love that.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sold.
good.
For anyone listening who wants to take a ride in this sonic time machine,
Yeah,
definitely check out CARLIGHTS. You won't be disappointed.
he's so good, dude.
But here's something to ponder as you listen.
Right?
How can you incorporate elements of nostalgia, mood, and emotion into your own creative work, whatever that may be?
Yeah.
What stories can you tell through your chosen medium?
It's a good question to think about.
Yeah, and I would even add to that, like, how does your hometown
Yeah.
influence or inspire
Yeah.
the things that you create?
Think about those specific details.
Yeah,
Remember, every creative journey is unique.
totally.
Embrace your influences, experiment, and don't be afraid to dive deep into the process.
Love that. And on that note, we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Sounds good.
Until then, happy creating.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, great episode. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, really interesting.
Cool. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Awesome. See ya.
All right, bye.